Hello and welcome everyone, and I'm excited to be covering Traitors this season. It's been a long time coming as I've watched every US season, I've watched the international versions, and I've been highly anticipating season 4 ever since its announcement. The time has finally come, and I thought it would be fun to discuss this season and do weekly review and recaps as the season goes on. This past Thursday, Peacock released 3 brand new episodes, so there is no time to waste. Let's just dive right into it, starting in episode 1. All 23 competitors are arriving to the castle at night, which I love this aesthetic. It is so dark, it is so creepy, it is so eerie. There are no lights on when everybody pulls up to the castle. People are confused, and then all of a sudden you get like fireworks. And I don't mean fireworks like 4th of July, I mean literal pyrotechnics, fire all around the castle. It really sets the stage, and I love the showmanship of the Traitors. Speaking of showmanship, once everybody exits their vehicles, Alan starts walking up to the fire pit, asking everybody to join him, and introducing a brand new twist to this season called the Secret Traitor. In this special ceremony, Alan is going to pick the first traitor of the season in front of everyone. He'll call everybody up one at a time, show them what's in their box. 22 people will see nothing, while one person will see the traitor card. Whoever sees the traitor card will become the Secret Traitor, a role we do not learn about until later on in this episode when the other 3 traitors are meeting up for the first time in the tower. We're jumping headfirst into the game, into the strategy, doing something we've never seen before. Of course, Alan has his back to the other players, so all the other players can see is their fellow competitor and their reactions, or lack thereof, of when Alan opens up the box and shows them what's inside. I'll talk more about the Secret Traitor when we get to when the traitors meet up for the first time. After the ceremony is over, everybody is free to enter the house. They break off into groups, chat, mingle. There's some speculation on who could be the Secret Traitor, but there's not a whole lot to go off of. After everybody has their one-on-one interviews with Alan on whether they would like to be a traitor or faithful, they go into the round table room, blindfold, and Alan picks the 3. He first picks Candace from the Housewives, Lisa from the Housewives, and Rob R. from Love Island. I initially thought that this was an interesting trio to start off the season. I think last season they really went for chaos. And I feel like this season they picked more sly, personable, underrated players. I say that because Candace and Rob R both have confessionals after being chosen by Alan that they're judged by other people because of like the shows they come from or how they present themselves / are really good looking, that people don't necessarily consider them like super smart. And with now being the traitors, they want to prove that they are there, ready to play, can be cunning, can be smart with their decision making, and they want to make a name for themselves. All 3 people want to make names for themselves to be like the best traitors in the show's history. I don't really get a sense of ego from any one of them. It doesn't feel like one person is like taking charge and feels like they're the head traitor. And after watching them in the first 3 episodes, I truly think that they picked 3 very great players to start off this traitor season. After the 3 traitors were picked, we move into a little bit of game talk where Michael just talks too much. He does bring up numbers that out of 23 people, there are 5 gamers and 5 housewives. And he says, statistically speaking, that there has to be one traitor that's either a gamer or a housewife. Then later on in the night, he calls out Rob R for being too good looking as well as being too quiet. I'm gonna hold my tongue on Michael for now because trust me, this will not be the last time he comes up in this review and recap. One last thing before we get to the first traitors meeting is that Candace is talking in a group of people and she mentions that she feels that Lisa Rinna is a traitor. And I found that so funny because she's trying to come off as a faithful so early on, and then she's throwing Lisa under the bus without even knowing that she is a traitor with her. Good on Candace for clocking Lisa because that was really impressive. The 3 of Rob R, Candace, and Lisa all take the traitor oath, and they meet each other in the tower, and it seems like it's good vibes, good chemistry right off the bat. Then Alan joins up with them, and tells them about the Secret Traitor. This is where the three traitors, as well as us, the audience, learn that the Secret Traitor will work alone. The Secret Traitor doesn't know the identity of the three traitors, and the three traitors will not know the identity of the Secret Traitor. That is until they do like a competition and then they're able to meet up with the Secret Traitor. But for now, with the identities and everything separate, the Secret Traitor is off on their own, and what they are able to do is then give a short list to the three traitors and who they can eliminate on certain nights. So instead of the three traitors having the whole house to go after, they have to work within the limits of the shortlist that the Secret Traitor gives them. I thought that this was very interesting. I like that the traitors are trying new things and adding things to the format to keep things fresh. This is the 4th season, and not saying that Traitors was getting boring or anything, but I think it's interesting when you try to evolve the game slowly. And I do like the Secret Traitor. I like the ceremony of the Secret Traitor right off the bat. I like that the Secret Traitor and the three traitors don't know each other. I think if they implement this in later seasons, it could add drama into the game, as the Secret Traitor could be playing a drastically different game than the other three traitors. The Secret Traitor is not giving us any room to work with, yet it's like an internal struggle because it's like we can't talk to the Secret Traitor. Okay, I want to take out the Secret Traitor over everybody else, because then we can start playing the game how we want to play. I just think that it's interesting and adds layer and adds a little bit of depth to the game, but it's so early on in the season that I felt like we weren't able to get that kind of drama. There's no elimination on the first meetup. They just kind of like hang out, talk, get to know each other, and then they head off to then meet up the next day for the first mission of the season. For the first mission of the season, the competitors are taken to a lock where there are 100 coffins floating around in it. Out of the 100 coffins, there are 12 coffins with a $sign. The players will have to divide into 3 different boats. They're going to have to paddle to find those 12 coffins. Once they find a money coffin, they have to then tether it to their boat, row it to a graveyard, and put it in a grave. What the players don't know at the start of this mission is that to put money in the prize fund, the players are going to have to put a coffin in somebody's grave. But when there's a coffin in the person's grave, they will be eligible to be eliminated by the traitors that night. The players without coffins in their graves by the end of the mission will be shielded. This is why I love the traitors. This mission is fun, this mission is physical, but also there's just a layer of strategy that is chef's kiss. The mission itself is just like a regular cake. But then you add in that layer of strategy of you have to put it in somebody's coffin and then they are eligible to be eliminated by the traitors that night, is like a nice layer of buttercream icing. It just makes the competition that much sweeter to watch. Right away, Rob R takes a leadership position, asking everyone who has experience rowing a boat, that they should be captains of the 3 boats. So Rob R, Steven, and Colton all raise their hands. Colton's going to be captain of the green boat, Rob R has the red boat, and Steven has the white boat. And I felt like this was a very pragmatic way of starting out the game. However, I started to lose faith in everybody because once Alan says go, the red boat takes off while the green boat and the white boat get stuck. Luckily, they weren't stuck for very long, but there was a point where I was like, oh no, they're not going to make any money. Of course, the red boat, who got off to a hot lead, gets the first money coffin, and they're the first to find out that to bank money, they're going to have to make people vulnerable for the traitors that night. They decide to put the first coffin in Ron's grave. You could feel early on that he just felt like he was an outcast. And I think that this also proves it with him getting the first coffin in his grave. But we'll put a pin in that for now, as we'll talk more about Ron in episode 2. Later on, we get to see a little bit of strategy in the first mission as we see the red team and the green team both at the graves at the same time. They decide to make an alliance that they will not go after each other, that they will target only the players on the white boat, which is a fantastic strategy and works out for the best of both of them. That is until later on in the competition when you have the green team and the white team both at the graveyard at the same time, and they decide to make an alliance with each other that they're going to target only the players in the red boat. I love seeing the double dealing by the green team. It's what you have to do. With 30 seconds left to go, the white team gets another money coffin coffin, and they are paddling so hard to beat the clock. They're able to get on shore, grab the coffin, they're running for their lives. They're trying to do a buzzer beater, they chuck it into Portia's grave, which is the closest grave site that is open, but Alan says that they were too little too late and it does not count. At the end of the mission, they were able to bank in $22.5 thousand, and they have 9 targets for the traitors. The people with coffins in their graves are Ron, Rob R, Eric, Michael, Donna, Rob C, Dorinda, Ian, and Mark. Now, not only are they vulnerable to be eliminated by the traitors, but they also have to do some manual labor by putting dirt into their graves, which is almost like rubbing dirt into the wound. Now, on the way back to the castle, you have a car of Candace, Portia, and Moira. Portia asked the question of, how was a coffin about to go into my grave? That's when Candace relays the story that during the mission, Michael said that we should be targeting the housewives. This shocks Portia so much that once Michael returns to the house with the other 8 vulnerable players, she seeks out Michael to question why did he say to, quote, put it in a housewife's grave. Michael, who is a big Bravo Housewives fan, is shocked by this and wants to know who told Portia this. This leads to a giant house meeting where Portia is asking Candace for receipts, back me up, but Candace completely walks it back and says, you completely misunderstood me. I didn't say Michael said it today. I said that he said it the other day. Doesn't make sense in the context of when the conversation happened. And to me, it's very lucky in the sense that Portia and Candace are both from the Housewives series, so they're not gonna start going after each other. Portia even says that she trusts Candace even though she's switching up on what she said, that she's not gonna call her out in front of everybody, and maybe I did misunderstand her. Candace could have really been put in the hot seat from this conversation, but she was able to make it out with no suspicion, which I thought was very, very impressive. This is the point where the traitors meet up in their tower to go over the short list from the Secret Traitor, who write down the names of Rob R, Ian, Mark, and Eric. And when I saw those names, I was like, the smartest thing to do is going to be take out Ian. He won Big Brother. He is a quote-unquote gamer. This word is thrown around a lot so far, and it's just an umbrella term for players that have been on either Big Brother or Survivor. And when you compare him to Mark and Eric, and this is no discrediting or disrespect to Mark and Eric, I just think that they are very below the radar players. They don't come from reality competition TV in the sense that you don't have to lie or manipulate or anything like that. Eric is a singer-songwriter, Mark is a dancer from Dancing with the Stars, but you never really know what's gonna happen with the traitors, so that's when episode 1 ends. We get to episode 2, where we start off at breakfast, where the first 14 players to get to breakfast were everybody who was shielded. Then the players who were vulnerable start filling in. You have Rob C, Dorinda, Mama Kelsey, and Ron show up, where Dorinda has her moment of getting emotional because she was the first one out on her season. So making it to a breakfast finally, she was overwhelmed and everybody clapped and was very happy for her. But then it came down to the last few players, which then was Rob R, Eric, Mark, and Michael. And of course, Ian was eliminated. It is the smart move to do. I personally like Ian, and I was hoping to see more of him on the season, but it just makes too much sense with him being vulnerable that why are you going to let someone like Ian, who is very smart and competitive, get a pass onto further into the game. So it hurts me as a viewer and as a fan of Ian's, but it makes complete sense for the traitors. We get to a little bit of game talk before the next mission, and this is where Portia puts a giant target on her back when she misspeaks multiple times in a single conversation. At one point she says, I took out Ian, which was head scratching for the people she was talking to. Nobody called her out on it, but people were just like, did she really just say what I think she just said? Did she just admit to taking out Ian? And then later on, when somebody was talking about a vote and not wanting to vote out a faithful, Portia then said, yeah, because at night we'll take out a faithful and then we'll go vote out a faithful. And then that's 2 faithfuls out in one night. That's scary. This sent red alarms in Ron's head, who then talks to Michael and Donna about what they just heard, which was possibly Portia slipping up about how she could be a traitor. Portia's not the only one with a little bit of heat to her name. Tiffany brings up Donna, saying that she's not really speaking very much. She doesn't feel like she's trying to make connections. Maybe she feels too comfortable. Maybe she doesn't want to give up that she's a traitor. It's very interesting because 20 minutes into the first episode, you had Jam Jam and Monet talking about Donna, saying that she would be a perfect secret traitor, that nobody would suspect her, yet everybody seems to suspect her, which I was very caught off guard because seeing that Donna was going to be on this season of the Traitors, I was like, she's either going to be a traitor or she's going to be like Ivar from last season, where people are just going to be like, cool, she's just the house mom and nobody suspects her. Nobody would ever think that she would be a traitor. Yet she wasn't chosen by Alan to be one of the 3 traitors. So it just seemed odd that everybody was so suspicious of Donna right off the bat. But we'll put a pin in that as everybody heads down to meet up with Alan in the field for the second mission of the season. For the second mission, the players are going to have to transfer these 3 thrones all the way back to the castle. They're going to have to make 3 stops, 1 in an orchard, 1 in the river, and 1 in the forest to collect money as well as shield tokens. There are a total of 2 shield tokens at each stop. There will be 3 initial players to sit in the thrones. Those 3 players will be the only 3 shielded from the traitors. If somebody finds a shield token at one of the stops, they can use it to replace one of the people seated on the throne, and that person will be shielded. The only 3 people to be shielded from the traitors will be the 3 people in the thrones by the end of the mission. They can collect a total of $24,000 for the prize fund, and they have to complete all of this within 45 minutes. If they don't get back to the castle with the 3 thrones within the allotted amount of time, they will get nothing. I honestly really like how the first 2 missions start as being physical, but also having a ton of strategy. I really like how they're dealing with the shield mechanic this season, where they're built into the missions. I like the shield tokens because it adds a layer of strategy. It adds a layer of drama. It's not just like grabbing a shield medallion and putting it on yourself instinctually. It's like, I have a shield token that now I have to kick somebody out of the thrones. I thought it was just like really well done, especially for this mission. In the first op, you have Monet who finds the first shield token and gives it to Lisa. Lisa then uses it to replace Caroline. Steven finds the next shield token and gives it to Dorinda, who takes Candace's place. I thought the group was very efficient in the first stop as they were able to collect all $8,000 that was available in that stop, as well as finding the 2 shield tokens all within 10 minutes. And then they were heading to the second stop, which is the river, where shields and money bags were stuck in like crab traps, nets, and also the reeds around the river. Steven finds another shield token, this time gives it to Caroline, who takes Tiffany's spot. Moira finds this second shield token and keeps it for herself. She swaps places with Dorinda. The group feels like they're taking way too long in the second stop, so then they just decide to leave, banking another $6,500. The prize totaling after the second stop at $14,500, and then we get to the third stop where Colton finds the first shield token instantly, runs over and replaces Lisa Renna. Rob R finds the last shield token, gives it to Jam Jam. Jam Jam goes over to the thrones, is looking at everybody, and wants to take Moira's place. Moira is upset because she had safety, and now it's gone. Michael comes barging over and is like, we should vote on how we're gonna use this last shield token. It should be a discussion. But Michael is upset because he had no chance of getting the shield token. And realistically, even if everybody stopped what they were doing to talk about this final shield token, no matter how much they talked about it, Michael was never going to get it. Like, Jam Jam was never just gonna hand it over to Michael. This is the early stages of the game. I'm sure everybody except for the traitors are feeling vulnerable. The game is the game, and if you get it, whether you find it or somebody hands it to you, it is yours, and I think it was great that Jam Jam used it. I truly think that Michael is just annoying and brings up stuff just to bring up stuff or just to get camera time or whatever. But for him to like bring up so many different things of like, oh, we should have had a talk, we should have done this, we should have done that. It's like, dude, just play the game, you know? It's just frustrating. It's just annoying, and it just continues throughout the rest of this episode as well as heading into episode 3. But we'll get into all of that. So the shields are distributed, everybody grabs a ton of money, and then they head off to the castle where they meet up with Alan, who says that they made it within the allotted amount of time. Not only that, but they had 10 minutes to spare, and out of the $24,000 that was available, they were able to bank $22,500 into the prize fund. The shielded individuals going into the night are Colton, Jam Jam, and Caroline, and afterwards, we have a little bit of game talk before the round table. You have suspicions on mainly Michael and Donna. Then you have this conversation with Portia. Portia says that there are 4 traitors. And Ron is like, how do you know without a doubt that there are 4 traitors? Now, listening back to this conversation, Portia does have a question mark at the end of her sentence. And if you are a fan of the show, I can understand why Portia would think there are 4 traitors. On a normal season, or regularly, or most commonly, 3 people are picked to be the traitors that go into the tower. But if we remember, there was that ceremony to have the secret traitor in front of everyone. I myself, after all of that, would assume that there are 4 traitors. And even in the conversation, you can hear Portia say, but there are 4 traitors, right? There's gonna be at least 4 traitors. But I know in the moment, in the pressure of the house, as well as the other conversations that Ron heard, it feels like she just did it again. So Ron's gonna take that information, present it in front of everyone at the round table. Speaking of the round table, everybody settles in, and Natalie is the first one to speak and mentions how suspicious she feels Donna is being. She's not really talking any strategies, she's not putting any names out there, she's not really growing bonds with anyone, and she feels like it's suspicious. Mama Kelsey does a pretty decent job trying to be like, well, I'm just like a normal person, I don't come from reality TV, I don't know anybody here, I'm kind of by myself, so it's a little overwhelming. It doesn't completely absolve her of any suspicions, but then Ron pushes the conversation over to Portia, bringing up the misunderstanding about Michael, and as well as talking about taking out Ian, and then definitively saying that there are 4 traitors, as well as the whole taking out faithfuls. Ron says that that is pretty good suspicion / evidence to want to vote somebody out. And I can see that, and I can understand that, because on the first banishment, you're dealing with very little information, and I've seen people just vote people out because of vibes. But Ron pushes it. He also gets backup from Donna and Michael about what Portia has said. And once Ron laid out all of his evidence, I felt like it was going to be an uphill battle for Portia to be able to stay after the vote. Michael then wants to distract everybody, talking about the Jam Jam Shield debacle once again, and in the middle of this debacle, he slips up and saying that we took out Ian, and everybody was like, wait, we took out Ian? The traitors took out Ian. If you're saying we and you're part of we, are we the traitors? And Michael's like, no, I'm faithful. But really, nobody cares about Michael. He is such like a mess and chaos that he is going to be good for the traitors to derail any conversation or any line of thinking that could even point to them, as well as faithfuls don't want to vote him out because they know he's a faithful. They would rather vote somebody else out that they possibly think could be a traitor. Even Rob C said that when he voted for Michael. He's like, I don't think you're a traitor, but you're just too distracting. Speaking of the vote, we come down to it. Michael gets 4 votes, Donna gets 8 votes, and Portia gets 10 votes. The last 2 votes sinking her in was Lisa and Colton. Portia stands up in front of everybody and says that she is a faithful. This is a really tough spot as the housewives are frustrated, everybody is frustrated that a faithful is gone, and Ron feels like he is very much in the hot seat. And this is where I really feel for Ron, because I feel like it was sound. It was sound logic to look at the breadcrumbs and go off of what you saw and what you heard. And like I said, for the first banishment, you're kind of going off of very little. So having those slip-ups / misspeaks, it's kind of like at least they were going off of something kind of legitimate. It's really tough, and Ron, who already felt like he was on the outside, is even more in the doghouse because he led everybody to vote off a faithful. But there is no rest when you are a traitor, because after the round table, we see the 3 traitors get a letter saying that they're going to have to eliminate somebody in plain sight. That there is a box of tarot cards behind a painting in the kitchen. They're going to have to stealthily retrieve that box, get together with another traitor, talk about who you should take out, then you have to take the player's card that you want to eliminate and burn it in the fireplace at the breakfast area. Doing this eliminate in plain sight so early on was so great, especially on a night like this. Everybody is so downtrodden that they banished a faithful. The mood and vibes are kind of off and a little awkward. Now, there was a point where I was like, how are they going to do this? I don't understand how they're going to take everybody out of the kitchen, which there was a ton of people in the kitchen at one point. How are they going to get people out of the kitchen effectively to get these tarot cards? This is where Candace comes up with a brilliant plan of the conga line. It comes out of nowhere, but it helps lift everybody's spirits. It brings the house together, as well as creates the perfect distraction for Rob R to break off of the conga line, run into the kitchen, grab the tarot cards, look at the short list, which is Rob C, Monet, Tara, and Kristen. And then once the conga line gets disbanded, he finds Lisa Rinna and they go over to the chess table and they just start covertly talking about the shortlist and who they should target. Really everybody but Tara, because I think Tara's playing a very under the radar type of game at the moment, are all really strong players that I could see making an argument on why you would want to take them out of the game. But of course, in my mind, I'm thinking Rob C is the best person that you could take out at this moment. He is a Survivor winner. He is a gamer like Ian, as well as he has a podcast dedicated to all these reality TV shows and breaking them down and why some moves are better than others. Not only that, but Rob C, upon hearing that a conga line was being made, was like, something is off. They're probably going to eliminate somebody in plain sight. And so he's going over to tell Tiffany. He's like, don't do anything out of the ordinary. Don't take a drink from anyone. Try to keep out of everybody's way. Which, once he clocked that, I was like, wow, he definitely has been studying. He came in ready to play. He even met up with Candace and Mark, who was sharing Skittles, in the kitchen and brought up that he thinks that the traitors are going to try to eliminate somebody in plain sight. And then asked Candace if she started the conga line, which she says, yeah, I did start the conga line. And he's like, oh. We leave off on a cliffhanger of seeing Rob R burning somebody's card and throwing it into the breakfast area fireplace at the last minute. It's not until the start of the next episode, episode 3, that we learn that he and Lisa both agreed to take out Rob C, which was clutch. If he would have stayed for another day, he would have been like, I told you, I knew that they took somebody out in plain sight. And I think it's Candace because she started the conga line, but because Rob C was gone, as well as Alan did a really interesting thing of subtly phrasing how Rob C was eliminated by the traitors in a way that it didn't make it sound like he was eliminated in plain sight. So nobody even is putting 2 and 2 together of there was a plain sight, distraction, conga line, Candace? Nothing like that. Everybody is none the wiser. They're more sad that Rob C is gone. I was like, wow, this is clutch gameplay. This is such great gameplay that I feel like the 3 traitors / 4 traitors, because without the secret traitor putting Rob C on the shortlist, he wouldn't have been vulnerable. So it took all 4 traitors to make that happen, and it was just the best move out there. At breakfast, Alan says that before the mission, they're going to have another roundtable ceremony, and somebody else will be banished right away. This takes everybody by surprise, including myself. Now, also at the breakfast, we had Shield Debacle Part 2, Part 3, whatever part it is, but we have Jam Jam and Michael yelling back and forth at each other in the room again about this shield, about who is a traitor. But with Rob C gone, Tiffany needs a new buddy, and she decides to rub elbows with Michael, saying that she believes Michael is correct about Jam Jam being a traitor. They have a secret conversation with each other behind the bookshelf, saying that I believe you're correct, that Jam Jam is a traitor, but you need to be better in how you're presenting the evidence and talking to people to get them to want to vote with you. Sadly, that does not happen, as Michael is going to be annoying as all get out at the round table when he sings this if you're a traitor and you know it, clap your hands, trying to get Jam Jam to clap his hands. There's a point in this episode where Michael says that he is a crap trash talker. Emphasis on the crap. You're singing a kid's song to a grown man. What are you doing? Speaking of the roundtable, Candace brings up Ron and how he switched the vote up completely, blindsiding everybody in voting out Portia, who was really on nobody's radar, but because Ron put so much evidence out there, everybody voted for her. when she was a faithful, and Ron was like, I heard what I heard, and I would just presented it to everybody. Nobody told me about who everyone else was voting for, so I went off my own understanding and my own theories, and I just presented the evidence, and everybody else made their decision. It's just unfortunate that a faithful was voted out. Colton then calls out Donna. Why are you acting so suspicious? Why are you not talking more to everybody? And then Tiffany even asked her, like, say a name. People have asked you to put out names and you just clam up. You don't say anybody's name. How are you not suspicious of anybody? And Donna throws Michael under the bus. I think it's a little bit of low-hanging fruit. There's already suspicion on Michael, so why not just dump more on it to take the heat off of your back? It comes down to the vote of Jam Jam gets 1 vote by Michael. Michael gets 1 vote from Donna. And Donna receives 18 votes to vote her out. This is where I was completely shocked when she stands up in front of everybody and says, I am a traitor. So Mama Kelsey was in fact the secret traitor. Now I want to say, and take this with whatever you want, but when the initial cast was dropped, I was like, they're gonna have to make Mama Kelsey a traitor. She's gonna be looked at as too honest, too unassuming, that nobody's gonna vote her out. But lo and behold, everybody voted her out, and I was like, you guys are fools for voting her out. Why is there so much suspicion on her? It's because she was acting funny. She was acting weird. If she was not a traitor at all, secret or regular traitor, I think she would have been trustworthy. I think she would have been a lot more open. But because she was made into a traitor, because I think the show felt like nobody's going to want to vote her out. And I understand where they were coming from, but she completely clammed up, it seems like. Everybody was already suspicious of her, and she was voted out. Good on her for coming on to do the show. She did the best she could, but I can understand where maybe it was a little too overwhelming and too much for her. Everybody is so excited. Everybody is so hyped for getting a traitor this early on, and they're taking that momentum into the 3rd mission, where everybody has to pair up with someone who they, quote, trust the most. Since there is an odd number, because Donna Kelsey was just eliminated, one person will be without a partner, and that's of course Ron. Just keeps on falling and falling as the game goes on, because not only did he push to get a faithful eliminated in the first banishment with Portia, but his closest ally in the game was Donna Kelsey. So not only did he push for a faithful to go, but his closest confidant is gone, who was a traitor, so now people think he's a traitor. Nobody wants to be near Ron at this moment, and I felt really bad for him to see him in that cage the entire day. But because there's an odd number, Ron does not have a partner. He is officially already on the short list. Now for everybody else in this mission, one player from each pair will be in a cage, and their partner will be out of the cage, running around a marsh to collect 10 ram skulls, then bring the ram skulls to their podiums, and they have to stack all 10 within 10 minutes. If you're able to do that, the cage will open and your partner will be free and shielded from the traitors that night. But if you're still stuck in the cage once the 10 minutes is up, then you are vulnerable to be eliminated by the traitors that night. This was probably my least favorite of the missions. I still think it was good, but it wasn't as captivating as, say, the first missions with the boats, as well as the second mission with the thrones. This one was very much feeling like an individual challenge, which is fine, but there wasn't really too much strategy to it. It's just go collect something, stack them, and you're done. There is no like extra layer of strategy, if that makes any sense. It's still good, but I think the weakest out of the first 3 missions. Also, with every person freed from their cage, the players will bank $5,000 into the prize fund. Rob is the first one to complete this, stacking all 10 skulls, freeing Moira. Then Steven frees Jam Jam, Monet frees Natalie, Tiffany frees Michael, and Tara, with 1 second left on the clock, frees Candace. This leaves Kristen, Lisa, Ron, Eric, and Caroline. Eric had no chance, as Johnny had the toughest time finding these skulls. I mean, it took him the full 10 minutes just to try to find 10 skulls, to where he didn't even have a chance to stack, as well as I was surprised how bad Colton was at this. He really choked under the pressure. I mean, I don't have a steady hand, but as the time was going down, you could tell like Colton's hands were really, really shaking, and Caroline was just done. The players were able to bank $25,000 into their prize fund, And then Alan tells everybody to say goodbye to the ones still in cages because this is where they leave them. Later that night, the players will be chained to trees and one of them will be eliminated by the traitors face to face. Everybody says their goodbyes, packs up into the cars, heads back to the castle where we get a little bit of game talk, mostly between Tiffany and Colton. Colton asks Tiffany if she's off of Michael. Why are you getting so close to him? And Tiffany's like, I still think Michael could be a traitor. I'm just trying to keep my friends close and my enemies closer. Now it sounds like Tiffany truly believes that Jam Jam and Michael are both traitors and they're having this like power struggle in front of everybody. Kind of like what happened last season. Tiffany tells Colton that Jam Jam is taking out other gamers because that's what a gamer would do. And that gets Colton thinking, yeah, but you're a gamer, and I think you're telling me your plan, but trying to say it that Jam Jam is doing it. So Colton is very suspicious of Tiffany, which we will see more of next episode, I'm sure of, but that's when we put a pin in it because we go to Traitor's Tower where Candace, Rob R, and Lisa all get together and they start talking about everybody who is on the short list and who they should get rid of. Then they go out to a field trip to go hear everybody's last rites and their last pleas for them to be saved. You have Kristen, Ron, Eric, and Caroline. I think out of those four, it doesn't make sense for them to go after Ron and Eric. Eric is playing a very under the radar game. I think he is very unassuming. Ron has so much heat on him at this moment that he is great to keep in the game to banish at a future roundtable. I think it comes down to Caroline and Kristen for two reasons. I think Kristen is a very strong and smart player who could become a threat to the traitors later on in this game, as well as Caroline because she is a housewife. There are 5 people on the short list, 2 of which are housewives, Lisa and Caroline. Possibly, maybe, if both Lisa and Caroline both walk back into the house, possibly people would think, is a housewife a traitor because maybe they're looking out for themselves via the traitors in the tower. I don't know, maybe I'm overthinking it, but that is a possibility, so I half expect either Kristen or Caroline to be the ones eliminated, but we don't know just yet as we leave off on a cliffhanger with everybody tied to the trees and the traitors going all around listening to everybody and why they should stay in the game. And that is it for the first 3 episodes review and recap of Traitors Season 4. What do you think about these episodes? Let me know down in the comment section below. What do you think about the 3 traitors, Candace, Lisa, and Rob R? What did you think about the Secret Traitor role? Would you like to see that implemented in future seasons? What do you think about all the players that were eliminated in the first 3 episodes? Were you sad to see any of them go? Let me know down in the comment section below as well. And who do you think who is vulnerable at the end of episode 3 will be eliminated heading into episode 4? Let me know anything and everything down in the comment section below. I want to hear what you have to say. But now I want to give a special shout out thank you to everyone who supports me over at patreon.com/angelcakevids. Thank you for your support. Thank you for your generosity. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And thank you to everyone who's watching this video up to this point. I'll be back really soon with more traitor content, more challenge content, more content in general. But until then, peace.